surprising and the pleasing outcome of the GDP data was the strength noticed in manufacturing services and government consumption. I think this augurs well because we also saw that the numbers are sustaining themselves into the second quarter as well in terms of July data. Slowdown, whatever we may see in the second quarter and possibly in the third quarter, it will be relatively contained and it may be temporary and transitory because the uncertainty related to the tariff, in my view, will not necessarily continue for too long. Some of them will be able to find alternative markets, and some of them may also decide to take a medium to long-term view. So the key factors that drove the performance of the economy was actually the robust strength in manufacturing and also services sector activity. Government consumption, which was negative in the last year, first quarter, I think, therefore, that also benefited from a very favorable base effect. So these three factors, apart from the fact that the deflator was on the lower side, the inflation coming out of the GDP deflator was on the lower side. But then that was well anticipated by a lot of people. But I think the surprising and the pleasing outcome of the GDP data was the strength noticed in manufacturing services and government consumption. So I think this augurs well because we also saw that the numbers are sustaining themselves into the second quarter as well in terms of July data. Now, as far as your question about the upcoming quarters, I think it's somewhat inevitable that there will be an impact, particularly on the external sector side, because of the tariff impact on export growth, which might spill over into domestic production and also domestic capital formation, etc. But I think the slowdown, whatever we may see in the second quarter and possibly in the third quarter, it will be relatively contained and it may be temporary and transitory because the uncertainty related to the tariff, in my view, will not necessarily continue for too long. Well, there will be offsetting effects also. Yes, job loss may be contained to those export-oriented units that are very highly exposed to the United States. Second, some of them will be able to find alternative markets, and some of them may also decide to take a medium to long-term view that if the ongoing uncertainties related to the tariffs is going to be contained and temporary, they may choose to look beyond that and not necessarily, let go of their workers. But apart from that, I would also like to point out to you that there could be compensation coming from higher domestic demand. We have had a very good monsoon season. Agriculture and rural demand will be rising. Rural wages are actually, in real terms, are rising faster. Then we are having the ongoing effect of the direct tax relief provided in the budget in February. Most households are now seeing that their advance tax payments are much lower. A family of two with an income of over 26 lakhs will pay zero income tax. I think that will disposable income in the hands of households, leading to greater domestic demand, and that can offset the effect of slightly lower demand coming from the U.S., which may spill over which may happen in the second and parts of third quarter. So it is not necessary that job losses, if they happen, will be of a significant nature so as to cast sort of a dampening effect on the overall economic activity. So I think that's a fair point, but the measures that the government has taken already, which I alluded to, the direct tax cut, and that is the forthcoming significant reform of the GST tax structure, and then the government also has launched the employment-linked incentive, the PM Rozgar Yojana. That initiative is happening, and then there is an emphasis given to structural reforms such as deregulation, which involve the ease of doing business, ease of being honest, etc. So I think all these factors will actually reduce the uncertainty related to the tariff, and that is why we are seeing, even in the month of August, existing data are showing that the economy has maintained its resilience. So there are quite a few silver linings which kind of offset the external demand impact we will face from the U.S. tariffs. First of all, I think based on 3 months of data, it is difficult to say that there is a slippage, because I think the flows can be varying depending on seasonal patterns. And this year, as I said, the advance tax paid by households will be on the lower side because they have had a direct tax relief provided in the budget, etc. I think government is very committed to ensuring that the two important pillars of our macroeconomic growth performance, namely macroeconomic stability and fiscal prudence, will continue to underpin our overall macroeconomic trajectory and the growth performance. So there is no dilution of the commitment. While we definitely will be considering any near-term relief to affected sectors, on enterprises, etc., we are committed to making sure that it happens within the framework of fiscal prudence. That will be, again, at this stage it will be difficult to estimate and give you a precise number, because much will depend on whether the actual rate reduction will be resulting in lower revenue growth, or will it be offset by the fact that it puts more disposable income in the hands of people, and which will in turn will lead to higher consumption, in which case the volume growth pickup can offset the impact of lower rates. And I think in response to your earlier question also, I should have pointed out that while we are concerned about whether the consumption expenditure will be maintained or not, I think lately the National Payments Corporation, NPCI, has released data on digital transactions happening. And if you look at the growth of digital transactions, not just the volume, but also the value in value terms, there has been a significant growth in the last 1 year of more than 20% in several categories. So overall, I feel that while we have to wait and see the revenue impact of the GST relief as well as the direct tax relief given in the budget, if they give rise to higher economic activity and and more transactions, that will offset the revenue impact of lower rates. I think it will be too premature to speculate on the kind of support. They are currently they are talking to the industry to get a sense of what kind of problems they expect and how to structure the relief in terms of the duration, the scope, and the eligibility criteria. All these things are being worked out, so it will be premature to talk about them now.
So your suggestion to government, how should government deal with this 50%?
No. If I have to give suggestions to the government, I will do so in person.